All right, well, thank you all for coming here today. So exciting. I always get nervous before one of these events. I just sit here and I think, I hope someone shows up.
Oh, please.
We always show up for you, Joe.
Yeah.
There's a lot to learn.
I'm sorry, I'm
Why
showing up for
wouldn't
me
we?
today.
That's right, there you go. Very smart.
That's awesome. So it reminds me of the story about the speaker that went up to Manitoba, it's in Canada, of course, right? And while he was up there, he was giving a talk, but before he got there, it was a massive snowstorm, and all of the attendees for the event didn't show up. It was just the one speaker, and then there was one person in the audience. But regardless, even though one person showed up, he still put on a show, spoke to the one person. At the end, he got a hand. One hand right there.
Oh my God.
And when he was finished, he said, "Thank you so much for coming here today. I really appreciate it. And have a great day." And he started to walk out of the room. And the gentleman in the audience said, "Oh, no, you're not going anywhere." He goes, "I'm the next speaker. Sit down, you're my audience."
Oh, that's funny. Oh, that's
So
funny.
regardless of how many people show up, the show must go on, right?
Yeah.
So today is a very powerful topic that's very, very near and dear to my heart, and it's called Creating Your Kick-Ass Mindset. I came up with that title on my own. Because there's a difference between just moving through life and going through life and absolutely kicking ass. And you know people in your life that go nowhere, and then you know people in your life that completely kick ass. And you're thinking, what's the difference, right? And can I be that person? Can I be that kick-ass person? If you're already a kick-ass person, you all are kick-ass at certain things in your life right now. But what if you wanted to apply all of those things in your life, or maybe something very specific in your life, to kicking ass in one specific area? See, you already have accomplished success at certain things in your life. And I'm going to show you how you did that. And I'm going to show you a system and a technique, just 7 questions you need to ask yourself in order to do this in any area of your life. So if you have a specific goal, if you have something you've been wanting to accomplish for a long time, something that's very near and dear to your heart, something that really matters to you, something that makes a massive difference, and you know that your life would change if you just did this one thing, right? Think about that for a minute, because we're going to do an exercise, and it can be a very private, internal exercise, or you can share it with the group. I've never ever put anyone in a situation where they would feel embarrassed in any way, so this is a safe place where you could come and, but I am going to ask you to get real with yourself, okay? Because that's what it's going to take to go from where you are to where you want to go next. Because between where we are and where we want to go, it's filled with landmines and excuses that we give ourselves to keep us where we are, to keep us safe. You know, years ago, many, many years ago, back in caveman times, fear was a human trait, right? Fear kept us alive. If someone saw a saber-toothed tiger, they would either run or kill it to stay alive, right?
Fight or flight.
Yeah, fight or flight, right? So fear is instilled in us for a reason. It's to keep us safe and keep us alive. We still have fear today. But what we need to learn to do as humans, if we want to accomplish superhuman goals, you know, there's a lot of average people doing superhuman things. How do they do that? Well, it's to recognize that fear when it comes around, and fear comes in the form of excuses that we give ourselves. We recognize that fear and we overcome it. See, fear is here to keep us safe, but fear can also keep us down. Fear can keep us from stretching and reaching and going to another level. And that's the type of fear that's bad fear. Good fear is, I better slow down on the highway, the roads are slick. That's a good fear, right? That will keep you alive. Bad fear is, geez, I better not attempt that goal because what if I fail and people make fun of me? That's a bad fear. Okay, what if I don't succeed? What if? Think of that saying, what if frogs had wings? They wouldn't bump its ass when it lands. What if, right?
So, I've never heard that one. I like that. Let me write that. Bump its ass.
You'll probably never hear it again either.
It's a lot of ass talk today, Joe. It's okay. We can handle it. My goodness.
So, how do, I love this picture here too. Kicking butt right here. Create your kick-ass mindset. All right, so let's get into it. We talk about when up-leveling. What do you think that means when I say up-leveling? This is going to be very interactive, by the way. What do we mean by up-leveling? What do you think that means?
Doing one more
Promotion.
thing?
Yes. What's it
Doing
mean?
that one more thing that brings you up to the next level?
Yes, that's true. What were you going to say?
I was gonna say, set your goals to be, achieve higher.
Yes,
Whatever that-
achieve higher.
Yeah.
I'm here and I want to get here, right?
Yeah.
Up-leveling. So let me tell you something about up-leveling that you probably already know. When you're up-leveling, you're going to feel uncertain, right? When you go from one position to another, what I'd like you each to recall in your minds, because every single one of you in this room could not be where you are today unless you up-leveled at some point in your life, somewhere, somehow, right?
Mhm.
You went from one level to another. And before I forget, I want to mention this. I think it's awesome that you're here today. That's huge, because this invitation went out, literally hundreds of people saw that. You're the only people that showed up. What does that say about you? Now think about that. And you
We're up leveling.
You're up-leveling.
There you
Yeah,
go.
yeah, in a sense, yeah.
I mean, I can't express in words hardly how proud I am that you're here. I mean, that is absolutely enormous. That's the first step, right? Is saying, all right, I'm going to check this out.
Mhm.
It tells me a few things about you. Number one, you're coachable. And by the way, if to up level, you have to be coachable, right? You have to be willing to learn. You have to put your ego aside and say, you know what? I'm going to check this out. I'm going to learn something. Maybe I'll learn something new. It also tells me that you're committed. You're committed to something about personal self-development. I want to be better. I'm awesome, but I want to be better, right? One of the things I also want to leave you with today, before I forget to mention, is I want to challenge you to go out and whatever you learn here today, your homework. You have homework. Oh, homework? Yeah, homework. But this is good homework. It's fun. What I'd like you to do is I'd like you to go out and share what you've learned here today with someone. Because there's someone that you know that needs this more than you do. In fact, the people that needed to hear this message the most
Didn't
aren't
show
here
up.
today,
Yeah.
right? They didn't show up today. Think about that. But be careful when you talk to people, okay? And who you talk to. Well, what do I mean by that? Be careful who you talk to. Well, you see, their fears are going to interject with your new ideas that you get today, and they're going to say things to dispel what it is what you know. So when you get around people who have a lot of stinking thinking and need a checkup from the neck up, right? Right? When you get around those people, be careful. Don't absorb their negative energy. Don't absorb what it is that they're putting out there for vibes and words. You know, you have to keep yourself in the positive mindset. I say this often. Marlene and I, we only watch feel-good movies. We don't watch scary movies. We don't watch depressing movies. Every now and then we'll think we're watching a good movie and there's a depressing, we're like, oh God, that movie, that was not good. What do? We immediately put on something else so that we can go to bed feeling good, right, Marlene?
Yes.
We want feel-good movies all the time if we're going to watch a movie. We don't watch the news. But guess what? We do find out about important events in the world when they come around. It will not escape you. We don't sit there and get sucked into watching negative videos on Facebook or YouTube, because when one of them comes up, and they do, we scroll past it fast, and YouTube and Facebook inherently know that, all right, they're not interested in that stuff. I'm going to show them more things they're interested in. You ever notice that?
Yeah, oh,
You're scrolling,
yeah.
you get a video, you watch one video about something, and next thing you know, you get tons of suggestions with that one topic. Our brains work the same way. What you put in, garbage in, garbage out. Your brain is a supercomputer. If you put garbage in, garbage is going to come out. We'll talk more about that in a minute. Now, you're going to feel uncertain. So my point in all that is that it's normal to feel that way. So what I want you to do is when you feel uncertain, embrace it and know that you're leveling up. That should be an instant trigger that when you feel uncertain, your brain, what I'd love for your brain to do is instantly say to yourself, all right, you know what? This is good. This is a good thing that I feel uncertain because that means I'm leveling up. I went to a seminar literally 30 years ago, and the gentleman's name was Bob Proctor. He's in the movie called The Secret. More homework for you to do, by the way. Please write this down. Rent or watch on Netflix. I think it's free now on Netflix. The movie called The Secret. But I want to warn you something about watching that movie called The Secret. Have you seen it? No. You haven't seen it? All right, so you got to watch that. It's called The Secret. Okay? But I'm going to caution you something about the movie. It talks about thinking in a certain way and attracting certain things, but it doesn't work unless you do one other thing in addition to that. Can you guess what it is?
You bring your mind to it.
Yes, you open your mind to it. Yes, that's very, very true. And there's one other extra thing that you need to do in order to make things work. Yes.
Believe.
You have to believe in it. Yes, all these are good answers. Yes. And there's one other thing.
Open up to the universe.
Watch the trailer. Yeah. And then you want That's good.
You are the trailer. You are the
The
trailer.
Cliff Notes.
You
Right.
watch it,
You don't
yeah.
need to watch the movie. Yeah. So what is it?
Let's see, one
So
other.
let me give you the answer.
Give us a
Yes.
hint.
You have to implement. You have to do.
You
Okay.
have to do, yeah.
It's
act
not.
on
It's,
it.
it's awesome to think positively, but thinking positively without doing is meaningless. It means nothing. The Quakers have a saying, and they say, when you pray, move your feet. When you pray, move your feet. I'm just going to turn the AC on a little higher here. It reminds me of the gentleman passed away, went to heaven, and he met God, and God says, welcome to heaven. You know, you made it. He goes, geez, you know, thanks. I'm glad I'm here to make it to heaven. This is great. But, you know, while I was on earth, I only asked you for one thing and one thing only. And you couldn't do that one thing for me. Why? Why couldn't you do that one thing? And God said, what is it, that one thing that you wanted? He goes, I always wanted to win the lottery. Because you always wanted to win the lottery. I said, yeah. You know what God said?
Why don't you play it?
You should have bought a ticket.
You didn't buy a ticket. Right. Right?
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of jokes and stories around that. There's the one where there was a gentleman who was stranded in a flood, and he was standing on top of the roof of a house. And this unfortunate story, ended up passing away. He didn't make it, right? Went up to heaven, and God said, you know, welcome. And he's like, why didn't you save me? And he said, well, I sent you a rescue boat, and you said, no, I'm just going to sit here and pray that God will save me. And then I sent you a helicopter, and you said, no, I'm just going to stay here and have God save me. He goes, who do you think sent those people to save you? Right?
Yeah. That's what's.
But you have to take action, right?
Yep.
But know that when you take action and you move in the direction of a worthwhile goal, it's going to feel weird, right? That same gentleman, that same seminar I went to, I'll never forget this, Bob Proctor. He said a goal is not a worthwhile goal unless it scares the shh out of you. And it's the first time I ever heard a public speaker on stage say a swear, and my eyes just went, whoa. And I wrote that down. A goal is not a worthwhile goal unless it scares the blank out of you. If you're heading in the direction of something and it doesn't scare you in any way whatsoever, you know what that means? You can do something greater. You
not a
can
big
do
enough
more. If it's not worthwhile. If it's not scaring you, what good is it? It's not that exciting, you know? If I go from this job to that job, is it a lateral move? Think about this, are you playing it safe? Is it a safe move? Or are you going and expanding your mind and your body and everything that's going on around you? There are a lot of average people out there doing extraordinary things simply because they made the decision to do so. Okay? So that's the other part of it, is making a decision. So when you're up leveling, and you feel uncertain, it's like jumping off a cliff. If you had a bungee cord on you, right? There's a difference between jumping off a cliff with or without a bungee cord, of course, right? You know this. And so if you're jumping, there's a feeling of exhilaration, right? But it's normal to feel that way. It's a normal feeling. Let's see. It's exciting and exhilarating, right? So let's talk about being in the uncomfortable. Being in the uncomfortable state of mind, right? Think about being uncomfortable. When you're uncomfortable, that's where you grow, right?
Yeah.
You think about a muscle in the gym. How many of you here have ever tried to work out before? I have too,
couple
right?
times.
Tried to work out before. Were you sore the next day? Yes or yes?
Yes.
Right?
The next week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So your muscles are trying to grow, right? And they feel uncomfortable. They're growing. So what do you think happens with your brain and your mind? Same thing. So guess what? It's normal. It's okay. In fact, if you're feeling uncomfortable and not normal about something, I want you to instinctively embrace the feeling of, oh, hot dog, everything is going normal. This is all good stuff, right? So also, that's where the opportunity is. There's no opportunity in playing it safe. There's no opportunity in being comfortable. There's no opportunity in staying on the couch. There's no opportunity for growth and expansion when you're in that comfort mode, right? 80-20. How many have ever heard about this? What is it also called? Something else, Italian name.
Whatever.
It's called the Pareto principle,
Pareto
right?
principle.
So the Pareto principle. Lisa, you do me a favor and look on that camera and see if it's recording still?
Oh,
Still recording? Okay, great, thank you.
thank you.
It's good to see you, Lisa.
Hi.
The 80-20 rule, the 80-20 rule. You ever heard about this? 80% of the people are doing 20% of the work, and 20% of the people are doing 80% of the work. Have you ever heard that before?
Yes.
If you haven't, well, now you've heard it for the first time. It's extremely true with so many other things. It's amazing how many things apply to the 80-20 rule. It used to apply to real estate. It used to be that 80% of the agents were doing 20% of the business, and 20% of the agents were doing 80% of the business. But that has changed now. Now it's 95-5.
Oh, wow.
5% of the agents are doing 95% of the business, right? So let me give you some secrets of real estate, because some of you are in real estate, some of you are thinking about getting into real estate, right? You want to know how to get into the top 5%? Anyone?
Yes.
Yes, please.
Oh, okay, good. Here's how you get into the top 5%. I'm going to give you these things, and if you want to put them down in your notes, I think it would really serve you well in the future, whether you're in real estate or not. Number 1, do what you're supposed to do and you will absolutely shine. What? Yeah, do what you're supposed to do and you will absolutely shine. What does that mean, John? I'm going to make it extremely simple for you right now. When you say you're going to be there at 2 o'clock, you get there early, right? Nope, trick question.
Yes.
You don't want to get there early, you want to get there on time. But sometimes to be on time, you have to get there early, but don't knock on the door early because they're getting ready for you to your visit. Just get out of if it's at 2 o'clock, get out of your car at 2 o'clock. Don't go knocking on the door prior to 2 o'clock. If you say you're going to have the sign in the yard within 3 days, when should you put the sign in the yard?
Within 3 days.
Okay, good. Here's rule number 2. Under promise, over deliver.
Yeah, first day.
Oh, all right. Right? That's the second rule. Under promise, over deliver. That's how you get into the top 5%. Because they're expecting, every time that they've hired someone to do something for them, whether it's the auto mechanic or the carpenter or the electrician or the plumber, they said one thing and what happened?
They don't show up.
Didn't the cable company tell you they're going to be there between 9 and 1? And what time did they show up?
2.
The next
It's
day.
normal, right? Everyone's just, they're used to hearing it. They're used to seeing things that aren't on track. We are not used to people doing what they say they're going to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when you do that, you absolutely shine in this business, okay? Sometimes you can be brand new and you can be really young. But if you're the only person out of the 3 people they interviewed that showed up on time, and you showed up prepared, and you cared, you're getting that. Listen, that is yours to have if you want it. There is absolutely no doubt about that. I started in real estate when I was 24 years old. My face looked like I was 16. The people I was doing business with, they were older than my parents, okay? It was not easy, right? But that was a mindset that I had. I was afraid that people weren't going to hire me because of my age. And then I created proof that that wasn't true. And I'll show you the process that I went through. But I did it unconsciously, okay? But I'm going to help you to go through this process consciously to get to wherever you want to go. All right, so the 80-20 rule. Here's the scoop. Everything is 80% mindset, and it's 20% mechanics or a proven strategy that works. What is a proven strategy that works? What does that equate to in the real estate world?
It worked once.
Yes, that's true. In the form of training. And by the way, every real estate company that I know of has some form of training. Some different, some are better than others, but they all have training. So here's the thing. There are people with companies that have very bad training, right? Let's pretend. Or it doesn't have to be real, it could be any industry. Doesn't matter what it is. You can have a life where you're exposed to a lot of negative influence and a lot of negative training, right? But still be awesome. Look at Oprah. You know her story?
No, not.
Check it out sometime. Abused, like horrible childhood, right? But look at her today. She overcame a lot of things, right? She was the first in many things. Because of her mindset, she had that 80% mindset. You follow me on this? What you need to get from where you are to where you want to be, it's already there. There are dozens of books behind you in these bookshelves. There's a tremendous amount of training and opportunity on the web that's free. And you have a company that you're aligned with that is going to offer you training as well, right? So when you have all those things available to you, why isn't that everyone is successful? Why is it that most people who get into real estate fail out of the business?
Because they don't do it. They don't commit to do it, but they're learning.
You got it. Yep, you're both right. Absolutely. So it's mindset. Absolutely. I was going to say 100% mindset. No, it's 80% mindset, right? That is the number one reason. Why is it that real estate companies, who are good companies that have good training, hire agents, and most of them quit and leave? Is it the company's fault? No, the company provided an onboarding process, the company provided training. But sometimes, I know because I've been managing real estate offices for literally 25 years of my life. I've been managing real estate offices. And not everyone makes it, but everyone has the same opportunity. Doesn't matter whether they're young, old, man, woman, doesn't matter. Single, divorced, doesn't matter. Living off an annuity or being married to an annuity or not having an annuity doesn't matter. Right? Success and failure in all those categories. You know, one of the major things that I've learned is that people don't show up. That's what I used to say to myself until I did all the research to have this course for you today, and I realized that that isn't true. There's a reason why they didn't show up. There's a reason why you came here today, and there's a reason why some people didn't come here today. There's a reason why someone's watching this video to this point, and there's a reason why someone shut the video off 5 minutes into it. Can you guess what it is?
That you're ready to do it.
They're not ready to do it, yes. And part of it is they're rejecting it. They do not want to know what the secret is to get from their goals because it makes them uncomfortable. And if they know the secret, if they know the 7 questions to ask themselves to move from one level to another, then it will strip away all their excuses and all the lies that they're telling themselves that they're comfortable with, that they believe in. They want to keep believing what they're believing in. They don't want their world to be rocked. They don't want to know anything different. They like being where they are. Really, John? People like being miserable and unhappy and broke? Yeah, sometimes that's a comfort level for a lot of folks, absolutely. So I used to think, wow, why aren't they successful in real estate? Why aren't they showing up? You know, my 4th year in real estate, my 3rd year in real estate, I sold 63 homes. 4th year, 81 homes. 5th year, 90 closed transactions in real estate. This raised so much attention that the 2nd largest real estate company in New England, the president approached me and said, "What are you doing? You're selling more homes than our entire office, and my manager in my office is telling me that it's the market." Well, if it's the market, how come one person can do this and my entire office cannot do this? I don't get it. I want to talk to you. I said, sure. I was flattered. I went up and I spoke. I thought what I thought would be a half-an-hour meeting. I met with the president and CEO of the company, and he had me in his office, and we were talking for almost 4 hours. His secretary went out and brought us lunch, and we just talked the whole time. We really hit it off. And he looked at me and he smiled and he said, "Have you ever thought about being a manager?" I'm like, no. I said, "I don't know the first thing about managing a real estate office." He said, "Well, can you teach people what it is that you do and what you did?" I said, "Well, sure. I mean, it's easy. Yeah, I can teach people that." He goes, "Great." And he made me an offer that I couldn't refuse. And I said, "Wow, this is freaking awesome. This is great." So I went in and I started managing a 30-person office. And when I got there, the first reaction was they hated me. And they were like, sitting in the room like this. Do you know why? Because the company went in and fired their best friend, which was their current manager. And they loved this person. And they fired them and they brought me in. When they saw me, they were like, "Wait, John Miller, that's the guy we've been competing with for the last 4 or 5 years, and he always gets the listing, and he gets it at a lower price, and he gets it at a higher commission. We hate this guy. He's our competitor. Oh, and by the way, they made the announcement that John's going to continue to list and sell real estate." Oh, we really hate this guy. Well, guess what? A few people left that day. They were like, "See ya," and they left. Other people kind of gave me a chance, and some people were so excited that they were going to have an opportunity to learn from me, right? So the people that stayed, I poured my heart out, and I did everything I could possibly do to help them, and I put all of them first, kind of like a good parent does for their child, right? I put their needs before mine, and I helped them with everything I possibly could. 6 months goes by. The owner of the company comes in, one of the regional managers comes in, my boss, my new boss at the time. Her name was Patsy Jones. And she came down, she sat down, she was so excited because she looked at the numbers and she saw the retention rate and everything that was going on, and she was very happy and very excited. And she says, "John, how's it going? How are you?" And I'm like, I don't know. I said, "I don't know. I don't think I'm really good at this." She goes, "What do you mean? Why are you saying that?" And I said, "Well, I know how to sell 90 homes a year, and I'm trying to teach all these people how to do it, and they're just not doing it." And she smiled very calmly and confidently. She put her hand on my arm and she said to me, "John, listen. I grew up on a farm in Louisiana, and my father taught me that if you try to teach a pig to sing, you'll only frustrate the pig and you'll waste your time. She goes, John, they don't want to know how to sell 90 homes a year. They just don't want to do that. And as simple as that sounds for you and I sitting here right now, in my young, naive mind, I was thinking, and I said, the words came out of my mouth. I said, well, then why are they in real estate? I don't get it. I don't understand. Like, why did they come into this business if they don't want to completely crush it? Like, to me, in my mind at that time, I didn't get it. I didn't understand why they weren't crushing it. Because they didn't have to work more hours. In fact, they could, and their job would actually be easier if they did it the ways that I was teaching and what I was doing and showing them. Their life would be easier, and they would make a lot more money per hour, and they would make a lot more of their customers and clients a lot happier if they would just follow these systems and these processes. And I had it, and somebody was giving it to them for free. Oh, by the way, write this down. Something for nothing has little or no value. The next time you offer someone something for free, like a free seminar like this, it's little or no value. But if you paid $10,000 to come to this event, you're more likely to implement what it is you learned. So that was a wake up for me. I was like, wow, not everybody wants to do that. Now, let's go on to the 20%. So it's there. By the way, everything you need to get to where you want to go is there. It's there now more than it ever has been, ever, because of media, YouTube, Facebook, Google. Just look it up. It's there. It's amazing. So that's not the excuse. The reason why we're not where we are now, or where we want to be, the reason why we're not where we want to be right now is because of what? Mindset. You got it. All right. So why is mindset 80%? It's where it comes down to you taking action or not. This is very, very powerful. Okay. This is the difference. So you know certain things, you feel certain things, you know that you have an opportunity to get to where you are, to where you want to be. But here's the thing: if you're not taking action on it, if you're not moving in that direction, then you haven't fully adopted that mindset yet. Okay? Either you believe it works or you don't. Think about that. Either you believe it works or you don't. So part of my job today is to convince you that the only thing preventing you from where you are now to where you want to be is the way you think about it. Because if you change the way you think about something, you're going to do it. Why do you think all those agents in that office weren't working towards selling 90 homes a year? When they could help more people be more happy, they could do a better job for their clients, and they could work less hours and make more money per hour. Why wasn't everyone doing that?
Didn't believe it.
They didn't believe it. I used to hear things like, oh, that's because he's young. I heard one woman say, oh, it's because you're a guy. I'm like, what? I said, women crush it in this business. That's a disadvantage for me, not an advantage, right? I'm struggling. Oh, man. They didn't believe it. They didn't want to believe it, right? If they did, they'd have moved in that direction. Think about something that you're doing, right? What if you wanted to learn how to swim? In your mind, if you're thinking, oh my God, I get in that water and I'm going down, I'm going to sink. Or do you go into it saying, you know what, I'm going to learn how to do this. Like, I can float. If he can do it, I can do it. If she can do it, I can do it, right? I'm going to use a very simple, silly analogy. Ryan, you went fishing recently, right? So Ryan goes fishing, and he put some bait or used a lure, right? Number one, he showed up to go fish. He went where there was water, where the fish are. Now think of this analogy, guys, and many, many things in our lives. He woke up. First of all, for most of us, getting out of bed, that's the first step, right? You get out of bed, put the shoes on, found transportation to where the fish are, where the water is, right? You following me on this?
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like real estate. You go to where the buyers are. My first manager, George Meserve, said to me, John, real estate's rather simple. It can be hard work, but it's rather simple. There are people that need to buy and people that need to sell. All you need to do is get in the middle of them. Even if you screw it up, you're still going to make some sales. Just get in the middle, right? So Ryan shows up. He brings a fishing pole. He brought one with him, a tool, right? Put some bait on it. And then what did he do?
Cast it.
Cast it into the water, right? Did you catch a fish the first time you did it?
No.
No. What about the second time?
No.
No, but you kept doing it. Why?
Because I knew there were fish in the water.
You knew there were fish in the water. That's an awesome answer. Thank you, Ryan. That was awesome. He knew there was fish in the water. But Ryan, let me ask you this. Thank you for playing along with this. Did you see the fish?
No.
You didn't see it,
No.
but you believed it.
I believed it.
So you did it. And you put it out there. And did you catch a fish?
Eventually, yeah.
Eventually caught a fish, right? This is a beautiful analogy. Think about this.
Question,
Yes.
did he throw it back or did he cook it? Because I don't really understand the
No,
throwing
he asked for
back.
referral.
No, I
Before he
don't.
threw
You're
it
no
in,
good. I'm gonna go back for another one.
I love it. I love it. That's
Tell your friends.
Yeah. That's right. Tell your fish friends that I can be back. So they should feel comfortable biting this hook. It's not a problem. Yeah.
Come back.
They get
So the
injured and then
mindset
they
is
go back in the
80%,
water.
and where it comes down to you taking action or not, and either you believe it works or you don't. Now, follow this, right? We set a goal, and then we plan a strategy. Think about this. You set a goal at some point, and you plan a strategy. Along the way, we stopped, right? We set a goal to get a real estate license. By the way, some of you are working toward that right now, right? Some of you already have it. But listen, there are a lot of people that go to the real estate class that never ever take the exam and they stop. Some people go and take the real estate exam one time, they don't pass, like me. They go a second time and then they pass. We have agents here who are killing it right now, really doing well. One person took it 5 times until he passed, and he's crushing it in real estate right now. Okay? Didn't give up. He knew there were fish in the water. He just needed to go there. Ryan might have cast that line out 5 times before he finally caught a fish. He believed it. It was there. It was going to happen, right? There are a ton of people, I know this to be very, very true. There are people who get their license that never go into real estate. There are tons of people out there. I don't know how many tens of thousands of people in Massachusetts alone that have a real estate license that are not practicing real estate. So I think to myself, well, why did they do it? Why did they go down that road? And why did they stop? Right? Everyone who gets their license, we reach out to them. We call them, we email them, we text them, we reach out to them through social media, we send them a letter in the mail, and they don't get back to us. I mean, if they knew what you knew about what was available to them, they would call, right? But they just don't believe it. They don't have the right mindset, right? We know what to do, but we stop at our mindset. So knowing what to do is not the issue. You all know what to do. You all know what you need to do. Still recording? Yeah? Okay, good. Thank you. So things you say to yourself to stop, right? Oh, well, this will never work for me. Here's another one. I don't feel like it today. It could be about working out. It could be about maybe cooking a meal. It could be about going fishing, right? It could be, there are many people that wanted to go fishing that day. Was it so crowded you had no room to cast your line? No. But there were a lot of people were thinking about it the night before, but didn't show up, right? I don't feel like it today. I don't have enough time. It's too hard for me. Wah. But these are the things that that I say it too. I'm human, right? We all have these thoughts. We all have these ideas. This never works for me. I don't feel like it today. I don't have enough time. It's too hard for me. Those are all things that stand in our way. Those are all the things that stand in the way from where we are, from where we are now to where we want to go. So what do we have to do? We have to what? Push through. The answers are right here, guys. I'll give you the questions. You're going to know the answers, right? So we must create and condition a strong mindset. I was talking to my son yesterday, and I said, listen, it's summertime, I get it, sleep in late, go to bed late, play video games with your friends, relax. I want you to enjoy your youth. I only have 2 challenges for you. I don't call them demands. I don't call them requests. I said 2 challenges for you. This summer, you and I are going to do 2 things. We're going to study on our own. 1 is psychology, and number 2 is speed reading. If I were to leave this planet, I wouldn't say this to him, but if I walked out and got hit by a bus, and I were to leave you with 2 things that I would love for you to have as a gift, it would be speed reading and the gift of understanding psychology. Knowing how other people's brains work? No, know how your own mind works so you can control your destiny. Know how your own mind works so you can literally control your thoughts. See, we're all being programmed right now, right? When you think of coffee, what store do you think of?
Starbucks.
Starbucks, all right.
Dunkin'.
Dunkin' Donuts, right?
Yeah.
Right? But you see how different people's minds are conditioned differently? Right? Some people say Starbucks, some soft drink. You say
Coke.
Coke.
Pepsi.
Some people say
Pepsi.
Pepsi, right? Controlling your mindset. So, in order to recondition your mindset, understanding psychology is very, very important. But understanding your own psychology is even more important because that's how you can control your destiny. Your programming in your mind leads to your thoughts. Your thoughts control your feelings, right? Have you ever heard anyone say, I don't feel like doing this today? Do they do it when they don't feel like doing it? Do you do things when you don't feel like it, yes or no?
No.
No.
No, not usually. Sometimes you do, right?
Mothers do.
Yes, they do.
That is,
Very good. I can think of a few things.
We have no
Mothers have to
choice.
do, they don't feel like it, right?
But generally, if you don't feel like doing it, you're not going to do it at your best.
Absolutely, very true. So your feelings control your actions, right? It's what you're physically doing, right? Your actions in your life control the results that you're getting in your life. If you don't like your results, think about how you were programmed and what your thoughts were and how you felt about doing it and what actions you did or didn't take to get the result. Like, we are all where we are today based on a whole lineup of choices that we've made. Now, sometimes we get put in positions and it wasn't our choice, right? They'll tell you it was our parents' choice. But if you're grown up and you're living on your own right now, can't blame your parents anymore. They're out of the picture. Like, you're in control of your mind now. You can control your destiny. That's your choice to be where you are and where you want to be and how you want to be there. Right, guys?
Yeah.
So, how do we create that strong mindset? Your beliefs have to be congruent with where you want to go.
I like that.
So if I want to be a $100,000 a year income producing type of person, my beliefs have to be incongruent with that. So if you're sitting there and you're thinking, I've never made $100,000 in my life, no one in my family's ever made $100,000 in 1 year, I can't even imagine what I would have to do. You're asking all those negative questions of yourself, right? If that's the goal. I remember when I started in sales. I wasn't in real estate. I was with a kitchen and bath company. And the owner of the company had his daughter managing the company for a short time. And she had just come from a management seminar. And in the management seminar, undoubtedly, because I've been to a few of them myself and some of you have been to them too, she came back from that seminar and said, John, come and sit down. I want to talk to you. And I was like, okay. I'm sitting in the chair, right? I'm 20 years old at the time. And she looks at me and she goes, what are your goals? Like this, right? And she's sitting, I'm sitting down, she's standing up. She goes, what are your goals? I'm like, well, my goal is I want to make $100,000 in 1 year. And she looked at me, she went, no, really? Seriously.
Oh, what?
You're kidding me.
And I just looked at her in shock, and I was like, in my mind, looking back now, I was thinking, toxic person. I gotta
Yeah.
get away from this person.
Yeah.
This person is not going to help me. As a matter of fact, I thought to myself, if she doesn't believe I can make $100,000 a year in this job, then I am in the wrong job. Like, all these thoughts started racing into my head because this person was blocking me. And I recognized, thank God I recognized that as early as I did. What could I have done at that point? What could I have adopted and believed in?
Same toxic feelings.
The same
Yeah.
feelings. I'm like, oh, well, she certainly knows a lot more than I do. I mean, she's managing a company. She's older than I am. She's smarter than I am. She's way better looking than I am. Like, we have all these negative thoughts in our head, and we start believing the toxicity around us. And by the way, it's all around you.
Mm-hmm.
It's 95% around you. It's not 80-20 anymore. First week I was in real estate, I got all excited. I went on a showing. I came back. Rich comes up to me. His name's Rich. Rich says, hey, John, how'd it go? I was like, it went really great. He said, it did? He goes, yeah. He goes, well, they had a bunch of questions, and so that must mean they're interested, right? He goes, what'd they ask you? I said, they asked me how old the chimney was. How old's the chimney? He goes, John, don't you know? That's what, listen, I've been doing this a long time. That's what people say to you when they want to blow you off. They're just blowing you off and they don't know how to tell you. And he walked away, and I'm sitting there like, oh, wow. This is really happening. Like, maybe this guy's been doing it longer than I have. He knows more than I do. But here's what I quickly readjusted my mind to. I went into the multiple list and I searched up and I looked at what this guy's production was.
Yeah.
And you know, he hadn't sold a home in 6 months. And I was like, all right, I figured this out on my own. If you want to get to a certain level, stop hanging around with people that aren't at that level.
Yeah.
Start hanging around with people that are at that level. Spend time with them, with the people you want to be. And there's negative things around. Well, they're never going to teach me everything that I need to know. I'm here to tell you today that the people that are at higher levels than you are, they would love to help you. They want to. And by the way, there's nothing in it for them. So get rid of that thought out of your head. Oh, they just want to use me, or they're not going to tell me what I really need to know because they just want to try to make money from me or something. There are tons of people above you. You know, my first manager, George Meserve, said to me, John, you know, I started to make some sales. I sold 17 homes my first year in the business, most of them buyers. Because he told me, he said, if you want to get good at one thing and one thing only to be successful in real estate, here's what it is. Do you guys want to know what it is? I'll tell you what it is if you promise to write it down. Are you ready? He goes, get good. All you need is one skill. And I got all excited. I'm like, all right, one skill. What is it? What's the one skill? Get really, really awesome at this one thing, making appointments. If you just get really good at making appointments, even if you show up and screw up, you're going to make more sales than if you're not there at all. Think about that. You know, it's the simple things that are the most powerful. It's the simple things that are the most powerful.
Did they buy the house after asking about the chimney?
I don't remember, to be
Oh.
honest with you. It was literally 29 and a half years ago.
Yeah.
I don't remember that. So the bottom line is, where do we?
Making appointments.
Making
Sorry.
appointments.
Making appointments,
Making
right.
appointments.
This has got me thinking about what happened 29 and a half years ago.
I'm sorry.
I don't know if they bought that house or not.
You know, I would also add that you dress for the job that you want
Ooh,
and not
yes.
for the one you have.
Oh, I love that.
Ooh,
Yes,
I
that's-
like
Very,
that.
very powerful.
Presentation.
Yes.
Is it?
Yeah,
Yes,
that's for the
yes.
job you want,
How
not
you
the one you
present yourself.
have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, to Marlene's point too, you know, I didn't have any money, you know, I was new to real estate, I had one child, I had another child on the way, I was 24 years old, I had just recently bought my own house, and I had a car payment and a mortgage, and no, I had to buy health insurance out of my pocket. And I was just like, all right, I gotta make this work, right? So I had learned in one of my seminars that you need to dress for success. You've heard this, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I went and I bought 2 pair of pants, one navy blue and one black. And I bought 2 shirts, and I would wash them and change them every day, right? So every day I was cleaning and ironing a shirt. And then I got some more money saved up, and I bought 1 sport coat. And that's it. That's all I had. And I had ties too. It was more fashionable to wear ties back then. Now people aren't wearing ties as much, right? And I went out there. Now, I didn't buy expensive suits and clothes. Eventually, when I made money, I did, but I did that for me. I didn't do it because I had to, right? Kept my car was a piece of junk, but I kept it clean, right? So dress for the job you want, not the one that you have, right? Start acting like you have money. By the way, don't go spending what you don't have. That's a dangerous thing. But do the things you would do if you were already successful, like dressing a certain way or doing certain things or hanging around with certain people.
Mm-hmm.
So here's what he said to me. He said, John, when you're at the bottom of the ladder, no one will try to pull you down. And the reason why he said that to me is I went to him and I said, look, these people are giving me a hard time. I sold 17 homes my first year in the business, and these people aren't happy for me. They're not as excited as I am. I found out later on, one of the reasons why they weren't excited for my success like I was excited is because I was doing something to erode and destroy all their negative self-talk excuses that they believed in their head. So when you're doing something that other people don't think is possible, their job is to protect their truth. Their job is to protect their beliefs. And they will work very, very hard to protect their beliefs. So if you start busting their myths and reaching and going beyond what they think is possible, they're going to pull you back down to their way of thinking and their belief. And by the way, this might be all the friends that you have now. You know, when I first heard this, I'm thinking, I got to get new friends. Right?
Don't let your friends choose you, choose your friends.
Ooh, I like that. I like that. That's a good one. I'm going to write that one down. Say that again.
Don't let your friends choose you, you choose your friends.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I like that a lot. That's a good one. So here's what I learned. Now, George said...
Credit my brother.
George said, if you're at the bottom of the ladder, no one will bring you down. So what does that mean? What happens if you go
you're
up?
at go up.
It's lonely at the top.
So he's trying to pull you up, right?
Yeah.
So that's another quote, but here's what I learned about reaching for the top. So imagine this analogy. You're climbing up the ladder, and just as you start to climb up, and by the way, I didn't tell you this, the people that love you the most, the people that care about you the most, ironically, are the ones that you're hanging out with the most. Those are the ones that are trying to pull you down. That doesn't make sense, does it? But keep this in mind. They're trying to protect you. They don't want to see you get hurt. One of the most difficult things as a parent is teaching a child how to ride a bike, and you're holding onto the back of the seat, and you're walking along with it, and it's the letting go part, right? Yes, Dennis.
So, I mean, that just kind of brings up kind of the fact of what they're doing to you is what you're doing to yourself is comforting you.
Yes.
So, in order for us to progress, we need to break our comfort and get out of our comfort zones.
Yes.
That's basically what I'm getting from this. And that they're caring for you, comforting you, and then...
Yes. And they're trying to care for you and comfort you, and they're comforting themselves too. They don't realize they're doing it. Like it's making them feel better to protect you. But they don't know that they're pulling you back. They don't know. They know not what they do, right? So here's what I found. I'm going up the ladder, all right? They're pulling me down. And now I'm thinking to myself, all right, if no one's pulling me down, I'm not progressing. So hold that thought. Because if no one's trying to pull you down and speak negative things to you, then you are not taking any steps in an upward, up-leveling direction. When you have, when you're going up the ladder, here's what I found. On the way up, they're pulling you down. At some point, you get in the middle, and that's where it's lonely, is in the middle, actually, despite that other quote that we know about, right? I'm not going to repeat it. Because here, I'm going to leave you with this thought. When you're getting 3/4 of the way up, you ever climb a ladder? Anyone? Raise your hand if you ever climbed a ladder, right? You ever climbed a high ladder, like going up to a roof, like on the first story or something? So if you've ever done that, right, you get about 3/4 of the way up, and where do you look?
Down.
Down.
No, you look up.
Oh,
Because you need to look up to where you're going, right? Right? They say, don't look down,
Don't look
right? But you instinctively look up because you want to know, how much further do I have to go, and do I reach the top rung, right? Here's what I found. As I was going up the ladder, there were more people at the top than on the bottom, and they were all reaching their hands out like this, saying, come on, come up here, it's awesome. When do you get up here? You're gonna love it. Oh, it's so great. They got free lemonade and sunshine, and everyone's happy. And they're reaching their hand out. And guess what some people do? They don't reach out. They don't grab the hand. They don't pull themselves over. They were this close. But then they let fear and negativity and bad thoughts get in the way. They stopped. Let me ask you a question. Where do you stop? What is
Never.
stopping you? Oh, Beatrice is never, yes.
I'm with
I know that
you.
about you, yes. You want to get happy, spend some time with Beatrice, yes. So, when you get to the top, right, and when you're getting near the top and people are out reaching their hands and they're reaching out to you to pull you up. But when you get up there, they wrap their arms around you and they give you a big hug and they say, you made it. We're so happy you're here. This is awesome. Come on, let me show you some other cool things that you can do and how you can do it and the way you can do it. And they just love you and they want to help you. And guess what? There's nothing in it for them, right? I'm doing this class today. I've got nothing to sell. There's nothing for you to buy from me. You understand what's happening in this universe? Do you understand what people are rejecting by not coming to an event like this or watching this video? They're pushing success away. And this is the most exciting part. You can tell I get excited about this, is that when you start reaching other levels, there are so many people at that level that want to help you. Do you know why? Why do they want to do that?
Because they have been in that situation and they know what it was like.
Empathy.
And they want to kind of pay it forward.
They want you to be
Yes,
successful.
Marlene nailed it. They want to pay it forward. There's a side benefit to that other than just making you feel good to help other people. It makes you better. If you want to learn a joke, someone tells you a joke, you want to learn it and memorize it better, tell it to someone else. You want to internalize and memorize and really dig deep into everything you're learning today, teach it to someone else. I learn more by teaching than I do by studying. You following me?
Mhm.
How well do you need to know a subject in order to teach it? Better than you do to be a student in that subject, right?
And they do that in the real estate class too. I remember they will have you, well, now they're not necessarily live, but when it was live, they will have you teach it to the group. You
Yes.
know, the chapter.
Yeah.
So that you learn it, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, very, very powerful. All right, you guys getting some good stuff out of this?
Absolutely.
Yes.
I can tell you are. I can see it in your eyes. It's awesome. All right, our mindset has to match our goal. So if you have a goal and you're not reaching it, or you're not there, you're not moving that direction, this is the reason why. Because your brain is not matching that goal. You don't see yourself there. But when you see yourself there, there's nothing that can get in your way of doing that. If Ryan's really excited about going fishing, there is nothing that's getting in his way of going fishing. If the bus breaks down, I'll call an Uber. If there's no Uber, I'll call a friend to give me a ride. I am going fishing today, right? I am going to do whatever it takes to make it happen. And that can be about making $100,000 a year, $250,000 a year, $1 million a year. Think about this for a minute. What scares you? Do me a favor. Write down, have fun with me for a minute. Write down an income per year level that scares you a little bit. Go ahead and write it down. You don't have to share it, but I need you to put it on paper right now, please.
That scares you.
That scares you a little bit. Yeah. Go ahead and write it down.
No income would scare me.
Yeah.
Right. An income goal that would scare you, like a higher income goal.
Oh.
All right, so Ryan's giving me permission to share this. Ryan's goal is $250,000 a year.
Go, Ryan.
That scares him a little bit, right? What's your number? Go ahead and write it down. Do you all write it down?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now here's what I want you to keep your pen right there, right? And Ryan, you do this too. And double it. Whoa! Did you hear Ryan's voice? He's like, oh. Thank you for voicing what everyone was thinking, Ryan. That's awesome. I love it. How does that feel?
A little bit more stressful.
Yeah, a little more stressful, a little scary, right? And is that normal?
Yes.
We know it is, right? And is that a worthwhile goal?
Yes.
Yeah, because it scares you. If it doesn't scare you, it's not worth doing, right? And guess what? All the technical stuff that you need to know to get to those levels, it's all available to you everywhere. It's all around you. There are people saying, hey, come on up, let's do this, right? We can make it happen. So your mindset, that's the reason why you never reached a goal, because your mindset wasn't there. And time. You have to give it the appropriate amount of time. Am I going to make $1 million my first year in real estate? Probably not. Is it possible? Probably. But I'm probably not going to get there. I want to be realistic about it, right? So what you want to do is set incremental goals. You know where stress comes from? It's from having unrealistic goals that you're trying to do. Frustration and stress comes from being unrealistic with yourself. So how about this? How about just get the license first, right? Let that be the first goal.
Mm-hmm.
Then the second goal is I just want to sell one house a month. Let that be a goal. And then be like, all right, I got this now. I'm learning some more. All right, now I'm going to do 2 a month. I'm going to jump it up to 4 sales a month. Just 1 a week. That's all I want. You'd be like Beatrice, and she takes listings like you take vitamins, 1 a day, right? But no one told her that she couldn't do that. And even if they did, she's so mentally strong, she wouldn't believe them. People tell her, why you can't do this? She says, why can't you? Why not? People say, how can I do it? I can't do it. We say, why can't you do it? What thoughts are you holding on to? We're going to go through this awesome exercise. So when your mindset lines up with your goal, then that's when you take off. I mean, think about this. Think about something you've accomplished in your life, right? And when your mindset lined up with your goal was to graduate high school or get a passing grade on a test or graduate college or get a degree or get that job, right? It's only when your mindset aligned with the goal is when you achieved it. Think about it. If you had a goal in sports, I want to run a quarter mile in so much time. You guys know about Roger Bannister?
No.
You know about this guy?
No.
I forget what year it was, but it was many years ago, so I don't know the story that well, obviously. But I do know that if you were to ask doctors years ago, and you were to say to them, scientific community, and you said, listen, if the human body ran 1 mile in 4 minutes or less, it was absolutely scientifically adopted that the human heart would implode, like it would just burst. It was physically impossible. And had anyone ever done it? No. But guess what happened one year?
Someone did it.
Roger Bannister ran a 4-minute mile. And no one had run a 4-minute mile after that. But after that one person did it, and then everyone believed it was possible, dozens of athletes did it after that, but no one did it before then. because their mindset didn't align with the goal. They didn't think it was possible. The scientific community convinced them that it was impossible. What is your 4-minute mile? What are you holding on to right now that you don't think you can do? That's where the magic happens. That's when you tap into the strategy. The strategy is what percentage?
20.
20% is the strategy. That's when you start taking action. That's when you move into action mode. It's when you get the mindset developed first. So where is it dangerous? Well, it's dangerous when you look at your beliefs and you think that it is truth. Let me prove it to you. Are you ready? You want some proof? You look at your beliefs and you think it is the truth. Is it true that some people, and please don't be offended if you're one of these people, I'm not saying this to offend anyone anyway. Is it true that some people believe the earth is still flat? There's still some people out there that the earth is flat, right? It's true. They believe it. They believe it's true. They have certain beliefs. And they back it up with evidence, right, that they think is real. And they adopt it and they believe in it. I'm going somewhere with this. Something happened, you made it mean something, and you made a decision, right? So think about some certain things that happen in your life. When I got into real estate, I remember someone asking me, well, why are you getting into real estate? Do they pay you by the hour? No. They give you a salary? No. What about benefits? Nothing. Health insurance? No. What are you, crazy? You got a good job? You're doing this job, you're making 30 grand a year, and you've got a mortgage, you've got a car payment, you have one child, you have another child on the way. Why would you do that? And I immediately said, well, the reason why I'm doing this is because I have a mortgage, I have a car payment, I have one child, I have another child on the way, and even if my boss passes away and I get his job, I'm going to make $45,000 a year. And sure, that would be better, but it's not going to be in alignment with my dream. My dream is to get to $100,000 a year. That was my dream I was holding on to. And I was going to find the 20%. I was going to find the way. What's the vehicle that's going to get me there? It's nothing to sneeze at. This is good stuff. So something happened, you made, and so something happens that provides you with some proof in your mind that makes you hold on to it. And then you created a belief around your decision. So something happened, you created a belief around it, and then you adopted it, and then you declared that as being the truth. You did that. I do that. You're not alone in this. We all do this, right? You adopt it as your truth. Whether it's making $100,000 a year, or making $1 million in 1 year, or being an independent contractor, or getting that job you always wanted, then you declare that as being the truth. You do. Is it the truth?
It's your truth, yeah.
It's your truth. I love that. It's great. It's your truth. But does everyone believe that's true?
No.
Because I was told I couldn't make $100,000 in a year because no one in my family ever did. I was told I couldn't do that because I didn't have a degree. I didn't graduate college. I didn't get a degree. I hear people say that. Oh, I can't get that job. They're offering $35,000 for that job. I can't get that. I can't get more than that because I don't have a degree. And I think, wow, who told that to you? Who said that to you? Doesn't make any sense. At one point in my career, without a college degree, I was offered a job with $250,000 a year salary plus bonus and benefits. And I was talking to one of my high school friends on the phone, and he's like, dude, I went to high school with you, man, so listen, we're buds. How did you do that? How did you pull that off? What kind of BS? What's going on? Completely shattered his mind.
And those school loans.
Yeah. So I remember getting on the phone with him, with them, and their first offer was $125,000 a year. And that's pretty good salary, right? $125,000 a year. I'm like, oh, that's pretty good. But I said no. They said, all right, $150,000. I'm like, no. But what do you want? I said, I want $300,000. $300,000? Why should we give you $300,000? I said, because I have the abilities and the skills to bring that much more money to your business that exceeds $300,000. I said, because that's my value. I chose to believe in that. And can I tell you what was going on in my life at that time? I had made a career choice to get into a different career. I had some personal choices that I made that were not good. I made some financial choices that were not good. I had to sell my condo to get the equity out of it because my credit was so low, I couldn't get a home equity line of credit and get the equity out. And I had to take that equity to live off of it and pay off some of the debts for the stupid things that I spent money on and did, and bad choices that I made. And I was living in an apartment that had floors that were tilted like this. I mean, this place was falling apart. Every morning I would wake up with the smell of diesel fumes in my nostrils because my neighbor was warming up his truck right in front of my bedroom window, and the windows were so bad that the leaking air was coming in and filled up the room. This is the spot I was in my life at that time. And here I am being offered $125,000 a year, and I'm saying no. Think about the state of mind I had to force myself into at that moment, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so they said, John, we can't give you $250,000. Then they said, would you take $250,000? I said, yeah, it's for $250,000, but $250,000 with the opportunity to get up to $300,000 through bonuses. And they said, all right, we can produce something like that. So they go back and they came, John, we got some bad news. I'm like, what? We can only do $200,000. I said, well, that's not going to work. And they said, but we'll give you a $50,000 sign-on bonus. I said, all right, that'll work. Right? Because here's my thought at the time, right? I thought I could, at the time I wasn't in real estate. I wasn't listing and selling real estate. And so I thought to myself, oh my God, my third year in the business, I sold 63 houses. The average sale price then was $117,000. If I sold 63 houses now, I would make $300,000 a year. So if you don't hire me, I literally said that. I said, if you don't hire me, I'm just going to go sell houses because I know I can do that, right?
Mm-hmm.
What are your ceilings? What are you believing in? What are you declaring as your truth? I would tell you that whatever your belief is, whatever your truth is, there's someone else that doesn't believe that, that's doing more than you are, and this is true for me too. I have some truths, I have some beliefs too, and there are people out there that don't believe my truths, and they're doing more than I am, right? Then you start collecting evidence for how it's true. Well, how do we do this? Think about that. Well, think of a goal that's far-reaching. Let me use one of your examples instead of mine. Yes, James.
So I put, I didn't say how much I wanted to make, but I said I wanted to, this year I wanted to make 10 million in gross sales.
Okay, so 10 million in gross sales, right? So if someone isn't getting up to 10 million, right? They start, think of an agent who has a goal of so many transactions or so much volume, right? We'll use that as an example. And they start collecting evidence of what they believe is true. So if they believe they can only sell 30 houses a year, right? And they start collecting evidence. Well, I tried to do more than 30 and I hired an assistant and they quit. It didn't work out. So that doesn't work for me, right? Remember those negative things I said before? That doesn't work for me, right? Or I tried building a team and I hired a buyer agent and it didn't work out. So that's not good for me. That's a limiting belief. What if you hired someone and it did work out, right? Now you have a different truth. You have a different belief. You have a different mindset about it. But what if you just didn't quit? What if you just said to yourself, all right, I'm going to keep trying this? Like Ryan fishing. He didn't cast once and say, well, clearly there's no fishing here today, and just pack it up and go home after one cast, right? When you try to expand your business or do something or take something to the next level, it doesn't work. Think of Ryan fishing. Don't give up just because it didn't work that one time. Big deal. You know, I hired and fired, or they quit, 3 different administrative people before I found Renee. Renee stayed working with me for 27 years of my career. I didn't quit after the first one, right? I kept going. This never works for me. I don't have time. These are the things we say. It's too hard. It's too hard to hire someone and work. I've never hired anyone before. I've never worked with anyone before. I've never expanded before. We make these excuses and then we hold them as truths. That's the dangerous part, is holding on to those things. Now let's talk about people who kick ass, right? They have the same 24 hours in the day that we do. They make it a must to blank each day. What is your blank? What is your goal? Someone give me a goal.
Exercise.
As in nothing.
Exercise. I love it, Brian. That's awesome, right? So would you agree that there are people that make it a must to exercise each day? Yes or yes?
Yes.
Yes, absolutely, right? Why is that? Why do they do that? It's important to them. They added it to their beliefs, right? What about reaching a certain goal in real estate?
Prospecting.
Prospecting. Is it true that there are some agents out there that prospect 2 to 3 hours a day, every day?
Absolutely.
Absolutely, right? What about growing and building a team? Is it absolutely true that they make it a must to work on building their team every day?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely, right? The difference is how they perceive their time. So what's important to you? What's your goal, right? If you're sitting there saying, I can't do it or it's impossible, you're not going to make the time to do that activity. But if you think it's possible that there are fish in that water and you can get them, then you are going to go fishing every day, right? And it could be fishing for anything. Fishing for getting in shape, fishing for building a team, fishing for starting out your real estate career. How about making your business work for you instead of you working for your business? Because I have to tell you, honestly, that being in real estate and helping people buy and sell homes is a bunch of crap. What? What are you talking about, John? Yeah. Yeah, you know why?
Let's go. We're done. Let's go home.
Because the reason I'm saying that is that the reason I'm saying that is that you go from an employee, let's say that's when you're working for someone else, right? How many of you have ever been an employee? Raise your hand. Or you're still an employee, right? Working for someone else. You're trading your time and they're giving you their money. Time for money. The second level is you become self-employed. Now being self-employed is better than being employed because you have better tax advantages, you have an opportunity to build your business, and you've made an upgrade in terms of what you're able to do and how you're able to do things, right? By being self-employed. You can control your own hours, you can control your own time, right? How many of you are self-employed? Melissa, you can raise your hand too, right? Self-employed, right? Now, the level beyond that is owning a business. That's where the third level, there's 4 levels, right? In that third level, in real estate specifically, you are either on a team or you have a team. Either one of the two is fine. When I was out of real estate and I got back into real estate, I said I'm either going to be on a team or have a team. My first goal was to get on a team because I wanted them to deal with all the stuff that doesn't always make all the money. I wanted to be on a team. And I looked around and there was one team, but their goals and values didn't align with mine and I could not work with that team. So I knew I couldn't do it. And that was the only team anywhere around that I could jump on and work with that team. So I took a deep breath. I'm like, I'm going to have to do it. I'm going to have to start my own team. Right? The next level number 4, is you move up from being self-employed. You go from employee to self-employed to owning a business. All of you who are in real estate can own a business by doing one simple thing. Some of you are ready for it and some of you aren't yet. And you're either going to be on a team or have a team. Here's how you start your team. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
get help, part-time admin. That's your first level. Because when you have people that work for you, you now own a business. That's the next level. So that, in my opinion, my goal, if you want to make the most amount of money in the shortest amount of time, if you want to have something that works for you, and you're not working for it, and you want to be in control, if that's your goal, if that's something you want to do, you need to move in that direction at some point and have it. When you join a team, the admins are already there, right? When you join a team, you're plugging into something that's already up and running, and you're an independent contractor, and you get all of the compensation, and you get the most amount of money per hour without having to build it or maintain it. There are many, many times as me having a real estate team where the people on the team were making more money per hour than I was, but that's okay. And by the way, that's something you have to be okay with as a business owner. You know, there was a completely kick-ass employee working for a real estate company down south, and the owner pulled the manager's compensation back because the owner's exact words were, "This isn't fair, you're making more money than I am." But she was killing it. She was crushing it. She had tripled the amount of business that company was doing because of her efforts. And the owner said, "It's not fair. You're making more money than me."
Stupid.
Silly, right? See how people think? Limiting beliefs. Think about it. It doesn't even make any logical sense, does it? It's like, do you think that person's making 3 times as much money? But he was still holding on to the ego and the stupidity of being like, well, you can't do more than I am. You're the employee. I'm the owner. I should be making more than you.
I hope she
No.
left them.
Oh, she did. Yeah, she left.
Of course.
Yeah. She went and go to work for someone who appreciates her talents, right? The difference is how they perceive their time. So you've got 2 people in the same situation. One person creates an empowering meaning that drives them forward. Another creates a disempowering belief that makes them stop or stuck. I think about my brothers and I, what we experienced in our childhood and what we went through. And some people hear the story and they're like, "Oh man, how is it that you're not on drugs right now? How is it that any of you survived?" So you get to a certain point and you make a decision, you make a choice. And there are 2 people that go through the same event in their life, or the same events, and some get empowered and some get disempowered. I grew up and there were quite a few times where we were poor. I mean poor. I mean no heat in the house, no food, poor, that kind of poor, right? But even today I count my blessings. I say to myself, well, at least I had a roof over my head. Yeah, there was no food in it and there was no heat in it in the middle of the winter, but at least there was a roof, right? Some people go through that and they hold on to these beliefs in their minds and they say to themselves, you know what? I didn't grow up in a good way, or some bad things happened to me in the past. And they hold on to that and they don't let go. And they disempower themselves because of that. Those are their truths, those are their excuses, those are their reasons for being where they are now. But I would tell you, and I use Oprah as an example again, check out her biography. She was abused as a child and just said, you know what, look where she is now. Look where she got in a very short period of time of her life. She just put the blinders on and didn't use any of that as excuses, and use that pain to empower themselves. Okay? So sometimes that's what some people, if you want to progress and you want to move forward, you have to let go of the past in order to move forward.
Absolutely.
You have to let it go. So another creates a disempowering belief and makes them stop or stuck. So what can you do? Notice your thoughts when you get stuck. So I'm gonna get stuck later on today sometime, right? We all get stuck doing something somewhere somehow. So what you want to do is you want to notice your thoughts when you get stuck, and you want to reverse them immediately. Would you like me to show you how to do that? Say yes.
Yes,
all right,
please.
Good. Reversing your thoughts fast. We're going to cultivate daily rituals or habits that develop a positive mindset. I'm about to show you what I promised you. We'll give you the tool, the key, the technique, the strategy, to change anything you want in your life. We're gonna reprogram your brain, right? Write this down, PTFAR.
ETFAR.
Yep.
PTFAR.
Seriously.
Is it an acronym?
yes it is, you got it right. PTFAR. This is your programming, leads to your thoughts, leads to your feelings, leads to your actions, leads to your results. And then draw an arrow. Now watch this, right? So this arrow goes here, leads to this, leads to this, leads to this, and then guess what this leads to?
Back row.
Your results reprogram your thoughts. So the way that you start off and the way that you end, it has to start with your programming. See, you're being brainwashed every minute of every day. When I said coffee, Lena said Starbucks. What could have possibly happened in her life to get her to say that? I would tell you that she was brainwashed into saying Starbucks. Some people immediately thought Dunkin' Donuts and didn't think Starbucks, right? We are being brainwashed every minute of every day. We have been brainwashed our whole lives with certain feelings and thoughts. And a lot of that we're doing to ourselves. Because we take a thought, we take a belief, we hold it as true and evidence, and we never let it go, and we do everything we can to cultivate evidence to prove that we're right. Because people want two things in life. You know what they are?
They want to be right.
To be
and they want to be
right.
liked.
What Marlene said. They want to be right, and they want to be liked. Those are the two things, right?
He says this a lot. So.
How do you know all this stuff, Marlene? It's amazing. So here's what you do.
He brainwashes me in my sleep. I swear.
That's funny. When you get stuck or stopped, write down your thoughts. So you got to write them down. There's something very magical about that goes from your fingers to your wrist, up your arm, and your elbow, and your upper arm, into your shoulder, up your neck, and in your brain. Okay? So it's something very powerful about writing things down. Now, what are your patterns that show up around those thoughts? Start noticing. You will notice that when certain negativity goes into your mind, you all and me, we all have these certain patterns that we go around. Start noticing them. And you will. Now that you've been through this, you watch this video, you're here in this class, you'll start noticing your patterns. So, things that stop you. Living in the thought of, I don't know. Are you going to pass that exam? I don't know. Or once you get the exam passed and you start getting real estate, are you going to sell houses? I don't know. If I hire an assistant to increase my business and to, have someone, is it going to make me more successful? I don't know. A dangerous place to live is in the I don't know, right? I'm not good at blank. When I got into real estate, I was not good at a lot of things. In fact, I was not good at more things than I was good at. In fact, I can't even think of anything that I was good at when I got into real estate. But I thought back to this, I went to high school, to a vocational school for carpentry, and I was not good at carpentry. But when I graduated, I was good at it because the instructors say, do this, and if you don't do it, you get a bad grade, you get thrown out of school, so I had to do it. So what happened was I got better at it. I tried to play sports. I was not good at it. I was not born with any physical attributes that God gifted me to be talented in any sport whatsoever at any time in my life. But I did well. By my freshman year in high school, I was the captain of my team, and we went to the championships. But I worked out so hard. I tried. After practice, I would stay. I'd wait till everyone left, and I'd keep my shoes on, and I would just run around the field for half an hour after practice. I just kept going, just keep doing it, right? I'm not good at it, so I'm going to get better at it. I don't know people who blank. Who cares? They're all negative thoughts. Would you all agree with this? They're all negative thoughts. Yes?
Can I add something to that
Please, yes.
stops people, because I have read and learned and seen this so much happen. People don't take action because they don't think they're ready. They need to wait until
wow.
they know. I don't know how to become an agent because I don't know how to do it. Instead of just taking action and learn as you go,
Yes. Beatrice is so powerful. I've
they
heard,
just wait.
absolutely. I've heard people say, "Well, I don't know how I don't know how to write up an offer." I've had tons of people say, "Look, I don't want to show any houses or tell my friends that I'm in real estate yet." Do you know why? The number one reason why is they say that? I don't have my business cards yet. Literally, true story.
Yeah,
I
they're
don't have my
never
business
ready.
cards. I can't tell them really? But we hold on to those thoughts. We think they're true. Like, I want to go show houses, but I'm not going to ask anyone to buy any house yet because I don't know how to write up an offer. I'm afraid. Listen, the fear of being successful is more powerful than the fear of failure. You might not know this or realize this yet, but think about that. Let that settle in. What if you got your license and 15 people said, "I want to buy a house from you right now"? You'd be like, "I don't even know how to write up an offer. I'm not good at that. I don't know what to do. What if I let them down? What if I can't show up on time? What if my car breaks down? What if, right? All these thoughts stop rushing into our head. So just know that it's normal. So what thought is preventing you from moving forward right now? So what I'd like you to do is go to your notes, find this slide, please, and write down, and you don't have to share it unless you want to. You can volunteer if you'd like. But please go to this. This is the exercise part. This is the 7 steps of moving you forward. All right? What thought is preventing you from moving forward right now? Go ahead and write one down. If you don't know, just make one up. Seriously, just play around with it, have fun. You got to go through this exercise in order for it to work for you. Because once you do this, it'll work well. This is slide 20 of 33, if that helps you. What thought is preventing you from moving forward right now? What are you holding on to? What is blocking you? The next action step is, if you had one thought or belief that could be holding you back right now, what would it be? Marley says to me, "No, where do you want to go for dinner?" I'm like, "I don't know." And then she says, "Well, if you did know, where would you want to go?" It's a good one.
Yeah.
What's holding you back? What thought is holding you back? Well, I don't know. Well, if you did know, what thought would it be?
He really just doesn't want to take the time to think about where he wants to go.
I know.
Because he's too busy doing other things.
So it's the
Yes.
thought of thinking about
Yes,
it.
it's a lot of thinking about it, yes.
Absolutely.
About things that are not part of his goals, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's, picking out a place to eat is not part of my goals, so I don't
Yeah.
want to think about it. Don't make me think about things that I don't want to think about. I'm very focused. Like, you just tell me where to go to eat and when I need to get in the car. That would be awesome for me. Thank
But a
you.
vacation is a whole different story.
I don't even go there, right?
He's already getting anxiety because we'll be going soon.
Action steps. What are the thoughts or stories you tell yourself to justify your belief? Some of your evidence, right? Well, the earth is flat, right? What evidence are you holding on to believe that? What is the payoff of having those negative thoughts? Like, what benefit do you gain or that you get from having that negative thought? Why is it that you're holding on to it? Well, it's usually to avoid pain, right? The human mind works to do 2 things, right? Our mind and body work to either avoid pain or gain pleasure. The fear of loss is a greater motivator than the reward of gain. Someone will work harder to not lose something than they will to gain something. I use this analogy. I remember going back in the day when people bought and read newspapers. I don't know if you younger guys know about any of this, but they used to get their news from paper instead of on their smartphone, right? And I I would go into my real estate office, I'd see two people with the newspaper. One of them was clipping coupons and reading Dear Abby and all these horoscopes and puzzles and all this stuff. Another person was looking in the newspaper and was circling all the ads of all the people that were trying to sell their homes by themselves. And then there's a third person who has the newspaper that is circling all the ads and then actually calling the people up and saying, can I help you? Can I come by and see your house? Maybe I can help you sell it. If how soon or at what point in the marketing are you going to interview agents for the job of selling your home if you can't sell it on your own?
Sorry about that.
So think about that. Same newspaper, same tool, but different people are doing different things with it, right? What could be untrue about those stories? And how are they BS? A bunch of malarkey that you're telling yourself. Next one. Who would you be without those negative stories? Think about this for a minute. You're all holding on to a negative story. I am too. We all are, right? Whatever that negative story is, we're holding on to. Where would you be if you didn't have that? What kind of relationships would you have? What kind of friends would you have? What kind of car would you be driving? Where would you be living? Where on this planet would you be living? What would you be doing for work? What would you have for relationships in your life? Who would be surrounding you? Right? Who would you be spending time with if you didn't have those negative stories? This is deep, huh? Think about it. People pay a lot of money to sit in a chair and try to figure this stuff out for years. What new actions would you be taking if you weren't holding on to those fears? Would you be where you are now, or would you be somewhere else? For all of us, oh, we'd be somewhere else. We'd be in a happier, better place, right? Now, think about this for yourself. Which one do you want to hold on to? Do you want to hold on to the story you're telling yourself? I call it the lies that we believe in. They're not our lies. We don't think we're lying to ourselves. Our subconscious and conscious mind is saying that these are truths, and I can prove it. Because when you have a truth in your mind, you look for evidence to prove that you're right. Think about how your mind works. When you have a new belief, when you have a new piece of evidence, you start looking for proof as to why it's right. So I'm going to give you some other secrets here. What would you do, what would be the new thought or belief you would have to have in order to move forward now? So someone give me an example of a negative thought and then a new thought that you would have to have. Who wants to volunteer? Yes, James.
So I've done a lot of work compiling a list of expired opportunities.
Yes.
And I'm really reluctant to call. I'm afraid that I'll blow it and that I'll lose that opportunity.
Okay, great. So hold that thought, right? So let me ask someone else, what could James replace that thought with?
The
That's
opposite
positive.
of that.
What is the opposite of that? Someone want to volunteer?
That's gonna go really well.
I'm just gonna call them because they need me to sell their house. They're waiting for my call.
They're waiting for my call.
Yeah.
I love that,
We need you
Beatrice.
to help them.
They're waiting,
Right?
yeah.
They're waiting for my call. Here we
They're
go.
That's mindset.
Yeah, that's mindset. Ryan nailed it too. Is yeah, it's going to work.
Can I take you guys home for a little bit?
We're not going anywhere, James. You're in the right room, right? You're
Yeah.
amongst.
I'm
some
feeling
good
better about it.
That's awesome. So now, James, we're going to work with that, right?
Oh, okay.
'Cause I think that's very powerful. And it's a good one. And that's something that will lead to massive income by taking those steps. But we're all holding on to these thoughts by not doing certain things. Here's another thing that cracks up. Real estate agents said, well, I got internet leads. And what do agents say about internet leads?
They stink.
What?
They stink.
Oh, they stink. Oh. And then they talk to each other and they tell each other they stink. And then what happens is they call a lead and they don't answer the phone. See, proof. They stink. Look at the proof. All these internet leads stink. And then we stop calling them within 5 minutes. And we call them in an hour. And they were like, proof. See, I called them well, you stopped calling them within 5 minutes. Ryan didn't stop throwing the hook in the water, guys,
Yeah.
right? So you giving up on internet leads is you going fishing and throwing out the line, and nothing happened the first time, so you're like, oh, I'm gonna stop doing it. Ryan said there were fish in the water. He believed there were fish in the water, right? Some real estate agents are going out there not thinking, like if they get leads from the internet, they're sitting there thinking that there are no fish in the water. And you hold on to that as proof and evidence, and you build this up in your mind, and you make it true. Because here's what happens. When you believe that internet leads stink, right? And you get a live one on the phone, here's what you say. Oh, hi, yeah, you were inquiring on the internet. You don't want to buy a house, do you? and the person on the other line is like, I guess not. Okay, bye. And then you say, well, see, they stink. That's proof. Well, Beatrice gets a live one on the line. Said, hey, you called me. You inquired with me, right? I'm just following up with you. I'm doing my job. Right, Beatrice?
Absolutely.
So, someone says, why are you calling me? And Beatrice says, well, why did you email me? Why did you put your real phone number in my website if you didn't want me to call you?
Yeah.
Right? It's too funny.
I get into arguments sometimes, like, hey, listen, it's you, not me.
It's you, not me. You're the one. You said to me yesterday. It just goes. I just tell him, say, hey, you started this.
He started it. It wasn't me.
It's like, Lena, you started this. You put your phone number in my website. You're the one who started it.
That's fun.
What would be the new thought or belief, right? Look for positive evidence and ask yourself a focus-driven question. So what is some positive evidence that James can come up with in regard to calling expired listings?
The positive evidence?
Well, the positive evidence, I would say, is they at one time were trying to sell the property.
Right.
They did hire someone.
They did hire somebody.
And here's something else we know to be true. They're not nearly as good of an agent as you are, because if they were, they'd have sold it. Right?
That's awesome, yeah.
That's a new
Yeah,
positive
yeah.
thought, right? The proof and evidence is that they do want to sell a house. The proof and evidence is they do want to hire an agent.
And that they're waiting for you to call
Yeah,
them.
they
They're waiting
haven't
for
met
somebody
the
to
right
help
agent
them.
yet. How about this thought? They just haven't met the right agent yet. They didn't have an agent that has my skills and my ability to care to help them. So how do we build a focus-driven question? So let's build a question around what we just said. Put some of that in the form of a question. What would you say?
That's a question.
Focus-driven question.
A focus-driven question.
Yeah.
On one of the
About getting
concerns-
expireds
Oh, getting expired.
to hire you and talk to you.
So
and
the question would
interview
be to Mr. and Mrs. Seller or to myself?
you to yourself.
To myself.
Yeah, because you're already telling yourself something that's negative.
So this is a question, right?
Yes.
A question from you to you? Is that where
Yeah.
we're going?
Yeah.
Why?
Do I feel I have the
Yes.
skill set?
Money today. I like that.
No,
Yeah.
Do I feel I have the skill set?
No, you have them. Why do
Well,
I
that's the
have all the
question,
skill
right?
sets?
So the question I'm asking myself is, do I feel I have the skill sets to close the call and get an appointment?
Yes. So it is a question, but a focus-driven question would be more like focusing on the result, right? And let's take out the word if, right?
Okay.
Focus-driven question. Some other examples.
Yeah, why are you waiting for my call? Why do I have all the answers to give you? I do have all the answers to give you.
Yes,
Right.
absolutely. So you guys are heading in the right direction with this, right?
See, my head's still not around it completely.
So here's why. Because right now, today, all I'm doing is making you aware of it. But
Yeah.
now you have to leave here and practice it, right?
Right.
It's not good enough to just go to a seminar and watch this video one
I'm
time.
gonna implement.
You need to watch it 10 times and take notes. And then you need to implement it to learn it, remember? You
Mhm.
can't go to a comedy show and hear all the jokes and then leave and know them all. And be able to tell them just like the person at the comedy club did, right? You need to practice, drill, rehearse, internalize.
Would it be something like, why can't I convert this lead into a listing? Like, is that what you're looking at?
Yeah, I mean, part of something else, what I'd like you to do, we don't have time in this session, but what I'd like you to do is research, and those who coach with me personally know what this is. But if you would please write this down and then go to YouTube later after today's class and check this out. And I want you to write this word down. It's called affirmation. O-R-M-A-T-I-O-N.
Oh, affirmation?
Yeah.
Not affirm. Okay,
Right. Affirmation.
Yeah.
And the key word here is form, okay?
Huh.
Form.
Yeah.
And what it does, an affirmation forms a new thought in your mind, and you ask the question. Beatrice is very familiar with this. She comes up with an affirmation once a week about her business. So, Beatrice, would you be so kind as to volunteer on what an affirmation is?
Yeah, like, why is everybody lining up in my front door waiting for me to list their homes? Yes, right.
Yes.
Something
So
like
think
that.
about that. Now, an affirmation is I am feeling awesome now that people are listing their homes with me. But an affirmation, what it's doing is it's forming the questions, the question that Beatrice is asking herself.
Painting the
It's
picture of
forming
it,
other
a thought of
things.
it.
Yes.
So that's the focus-driven question? Is that
Yes.
what you, okay.
Yes, yes, yes.
So the focus-driven question is taking a thought, a belief, and realize it in your mind is like a scenario playing out. Why are all these people knocking on my door for me to sell their home?
Correct.
Yes.
That's powerful, I like that.
Because your subconscious mind now then goes to work trying to answer that question.
It's all in The Secret. If you
Yeah.
watch that. It's almost like you actually attract what you put out there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
that's definitely like a step above affirmations.
Yes.
It's really painting the,
Yeah.
Yes.
painting it out, drawing the scenario.
Go to YouTube and just type in what is an affirmation, and it will blow your mind. It's really cool. Very simple, very positive. All right, the first step is a must. You have to condition it using affirmations and affirmations, right? Saying it out loud with conviction will rewire the thought for you. So, guys, I can't stress this enough. It's the simple things that are the most powerful.
Yeah.
This is very, very simple, very easy, because you were
Beatrice,
brainwashed
Why
very
am I so
simply.
awesome?
Exactly. Why am I so awesome? I love it.
Awesome.
It's an affirmation, right?
That's awesome.
I go around, I used to say to my kids, I still goof around and I say it, as a joke. I say, I'm a genius.
I'll go home.
Instead, I should say, why am I such a genius?
I'll go home. My wife said, "What'd you say?" I said, "I'm doing the laundry." For me. Why am I so good at laundry?
Exactly. So what happens is your brain starts asking
She's just
for proof.
pulling me down up the
Yes.
ladder.
Exactly. Get away. Get off the
Get
ladder.
up the ladder.
Out of here.
I love it. So, do you know how actors and actresses learn their lines quickly? Do you know the technique that they use?
No.
Yes.
Well, let me ask you a question. Do they get paid well or not?
Yes.
Oh.
Do
Yes.
they make tens of thousands or millions? What do they
Millions.
make?
Millions.
They
Millions.
get rid of
Hundreds
it.
of millions.
So, if they can make millions doing something, wouldn't you like to know what it is they're doing that helps them to make millions?
Absolutely.
Even if it helps you to make hundreds of thousands or tens of thousands, right? They take their script and they stand in front of a mirror and they read it out loud, and they read it as quickly as their voice will allow them to read it. So the standard, you get the script, it says, you have to condition it by using affirmation, saying it out loud with conviction will rewire the thought for you. And they say it out loud and they say it quickly, fast.
So.
And what that does is it programs it into their mind quicker, easier, and better. You follow me?
Yes.
So why don't we do that then, right? It's very simple, very easy. So I want you to take your new thoughts, your new ideas, your new affirmations, new affirmations, right? tailor it to your goal, write it down is the first thing. And then secondly, still recording? Secondly, what we're going to do is, we're going to say it out loud. Now, here's what I propose you do. Keep that at your bedside. And you should have several of these things. Maybe just start out with one. Say it out loud with conviction before you go to bed, and say it out loud with conviction when you wake up. Maybe put it on your bathroom mirror, right? And say it out loud with conviction, with belief, right? You ever heard this saying? Why are sayings, by the way? Because they're what?
Sayings.
They're true, right?
True.
That's how they become sayings. Is this a saying? Fake it until you what?
Make it.
Yeah, it's pretty powerful. Look for positive evidence and ask yourself a focus-driven question, like that affirmation, right? Now, moving forward, every morning and every night, read your new thoughts out loud with conviction. That's the secret, guys. That's how you recondition your mind. It's literally, honest to God, that simple. Don't excuse this. Don't push this aside and say, well, it can't be that easy. It's literally that easy. This will happen. You're gonna, by doing this, are you reprogramming your mind?
Yes?
Yes, right? By doing this, are you changing the way you think about things?
Mm-hmm.
When you change the way you think about things, is it going to change the way you feel about things? And what controls your actions? The way you what?
Think.
Think and feel,
Feel,
right?
yeah.
That controls your actions. When you take action and you start moving in a positive direction with your actions, is that going to change your what?
Result.
Results. Is it going to happen? Yes. It's an undeniable law. It has to happen. It's happening to you now, whether you like it or not. It's just, are you controlling the programming, or is media controlling your programming? Is your environment controlling your programming? If you have a significant other or someone in your life, or a brother or sister, whatever, saying you can't do it, prove them wrong.
It's the law of attraction.
Yes.
You ask about, you bring about.
You got it. Exactly. You think about this. I took a picture of this morning. This is hanging up. Ryan, you've seen this before. This is hanging up in my son Aiden's now bedroom, and I love it. When your fears are bigger than your dreams, you will do nothing. So think about this. If you have a goal and you're not moving toward it, if you feel like you're being less than in some area of your life, right? It's because your fears are bigger than your dreams. I like Melissa's taking a picture of it. Good job. But when your dreams are bigger than your fears, you take effortless action. Yeah, feel free to take a picture of it if you want, because it's not in your notes.
Okay.
I slipped this in this morning before I printed out the slides. When your dreams are bigger than your fears, you take effortless action. Lena, before you got your real estate license, did you have a dream about being a successful real estate agent?
Yes,
Yes, you did. That was your dream. Did you have some fears?
yes,
But your dreams were bigger than your fears. So you took action, right?
yes.
And you did it. Otherwise, you wouldn't have done it. Does that make sense, guys? I mean, here's an amazing woman, English second language, and to go from a job from making $30,000 a year to making over $300,000 a year. And how long have you been in real estate?
5.5 years.
5.5 years.
Mhm.
Hello, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we're working on our business now to get her up to $500,000.
That's
And
what
the
we
next
follow.
goal after $500,000. Right.
We
Follow
follow.
me on Instagram.
That's right.
Oh, absolutely.
Next goal from there is from $500,000 up to $1 million. We'll get there.
Excellent. Wow.
She's not going to let any fears or beliefs get in her way. If anyone can do it, why can't I? Right?
And can I add to that too? She is so willing to help.
Ah,
It's
very
like
interesting.
the two of you, I can't think of a time that I reached out to you. And she will call me, text me, email, send me pictures of what I needed. Like, she's right there. Thank you
Yeah.
so much. So, it's what you were saying before, people that are at the top,
Yes.
Reaching
they're
out.
willing to help you. They want to help you.
Yes.
And that's why I always reach out to you guys, because
Yeah.
and this is to all of you, if you ever feel that you need something, they're there.
Yeah,
Just
Yeah.
a text message, a phone call, a big thank you.
that's
It
awesome.
really is amazing.
Thank you.
Excellent, congrats, that's good.
Thank you.
So what happens is
I like to hear,
sometimes,
I love to hear stories like that, you
That's
know,
awesome.
it reinforces what, you know, good things that happen in this office.
yeah, absolutely.
Good.
It's interesting, sometimes I'll call someone and I want to help them, and they'll have a spouse or a significant other that says, well, what's in it for them? Why do they want to help you? Like, what's in it for them? They don't understand. They often think, negative thoughts. You want to think, well, there's a lot of it. We want to be around
It's
other
people
people.
like that at the bottom, they all have the same mentality.
Yeah.
What's
Yes,
in it
yes.
for them, they will not help you. But when
Yes.
you are hanging around the right people,
Yes. Yeah, it
Just
can
know.
definitely take you in the right direction for sure. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Very good stuff. All right, guys, so you got this. Just do it. That's the end of my
it's-
presentation.
Awesome job. Powerful
Thank you.
information.
Thank you
Yes.
all for being awesome.
Very good.
That
It's
was-
not an accident that you're all here today. The whole thing when the student is ready, the teacher appears, all that other stuff.
true.
You're ready
is
for this
true.
information. That's why you showed up today. You're ready to take the next step in your life, and I'm here to help you any way that I can. So, from the bottom of my heart, thank you all for being here. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Thank
There's
you.
some refreshments in
Yeah.
the,
Oh,
the cafe.
special treats.
Did you
Lots of special
Watch
stuff.
the
Yes.
secret that they were saying?
No,
I
no.
have the video and I believe I have the book, so
Oh,
I'll
But it says on